Well, good afternoon, sisters and brothers.
Good afternoon.
My name is Brandon Johnson, and I am proud to be the Cook County Commissioner of the 1st District, and also very proud to stand with black elected officials from around the state of Illinois. I want to thank all of you who are in attendance today, our communities that have been crying out desperately for generations. From Tams, Illinois to Rockford, black voices matter. Our lives matter. For the sake and for the hope and the future of our people, the political moment that we're in right now requires bold, transformational actions that can bring the type of investment that's needed in this moment. As I said before, this is an effort, a culmination of days of actions that we've had across the region, from the Southland and now into the western suburbs. But let me be very clear, sisters and brothers, that today is not the last day. Yesterday wasn't the first day. That our work continues. And that the cries from the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, from the cries from the bottom of slave ships, and from the cries of East St. Louis, from Calumet City to Rockford to Lawndale to Maywood to Bellwood, that the black voices that are rising up today are heard. We hear you, and it's well past due that investment takes place in our community. And what that investment requires, at the very least, every single black address in the state of Illinois, every single black community, at the very least, it requires $1 billion of investment from the southern part of this region to the very north. I'm happy to be in the wonderful village of Maywood. She will welcome you today. Please help me welcome the mayor of the Light, Miss Edwina Perkins.
The greatest town in the Proviso era in the world.
Amen.
Right. The Black Lives Matter movement is centering once again the things that we know to be true. Racism has destroyed or compromised the vigor and talents of so many of our young people, and the criminal justice system is just one of many mechanisms that have been used to undermine the progress of the black community. Further, the demand for adequate investment in our communities, world-class education, jobs, and proper and decent housing are the most fundamental necessary for a just and equitable society. God bless you and thank you, and to the governor and his staff, and to our rep, our senators. I won't call the names, but thank you and God bless you. The village of Maywood appreciate that you thought enough of the village of eternal life to come here. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Mayor Perkins. And of course, we stand here in this historical space honoring one of our fallen, someone who was murdered at the hands of the state.
My God.
And we recognize and we demonstrate with fists in the air to the life and the legacy of Chairman Fred Hampton. We have historic moments that have happened in the western suburbs. I want to give them at least 60 seconds or less to speak to the dynamic moment that we're in. And so we have some dynamic black mayors that represent the western suburbs. I'll bring to you first the mayor of Forest Park, my good friend, Mayor Rory Hoskins.
Good day, everybody. The village of Forest Park is proud to stand with the mayors from Proviso, our legislators. We welcome Governor Pritzker and Lieutenant Governor Stratton. We know that they're here to take care of business. We know that they're here to listen to our pleas for investment in our community. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Commissioner Johnson.
That's good.
How about that? I think Mayor Hoskins deserves a round of applause because he's got 15 seconds still left. My honor to bring the mayor of Broadview, our dear sister, Mayor Katrina Thompson.
Good afternoon. It's such an honor to stand here before you all from the great village of Broadview. I would like to first thank Mayor Perkins for hosting this great event. in Maywood at the Hampton Pool, and all of our elected officials, the governor, the lieutenant governor, our senators, and our representatives. United we stand, divided we fall. All lives are not in danger, Black lives are. For me, that's why I say Black Lives Matter. I stand with my colleagues in unity to say I love you. I'm here to stand up for a change we need. I'm here to ensure that police accountability is a part of the plan moving forward. I'm here to support entrepreneurship in the Black community. I'm standing here today to say I will stand up for better health care in our community, but I'm also here to say we need your help. We need you to go vote. We need you to take the census and be counted. I lived in LA in 1992. And Rodney King said this, can we all get along? And today in 2020, George Floyd said, I cannot breathe. Today we hear you. We hear you today. Let's build together. With your help, communities can be stronger than ever. God bless you.
Thank you, Mayor. And finally, this brother has been a mentor to me when I didn't know what I was doing, which is frequent. I called him. He's the mayor of our wonderful city of Bellwood. Y'all make some noise for Mayor Andre Harvey.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Man, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Western Suburbs. It's a beautiful day, and it's really a beautiful day to see that we have 3 African-American mayors, 4 now, because I almost forgot a word, standing together, Forest Park, Bellwood, Maywood, and Broadview, standing together for this cause. I'd like to thank the governor, lieutenant governor, our senator, and state rep for being here, our recorder of deeds. Are you still recorder of deeds?
Counter clerk.
Our clerk. I think fast, I thought about our clerk for being here as well. I'm going to try to be very brief. It is an honor to be here to stand up for Black Lives Matter. But I'd like to say, this is not the first time we've been here for Black Lives Matter.
That's right.
But this time we have to do something. We have to make change.
That's right. That's right.
I thank the governor for being here to help us with police reform. I am a former firefighter and a former police officer who has experienced racism within the departments. We have to weed out the racism. And we have to stand together as African Americans, as people, to help weed out the racism. For anybody that does not want to be a police officer and conform, or a firefighter and conform to what our communities need. Last thing I want to say is I need the community's help, and I've been trying to get this help, and now is the time to stand up to get this help. I need our communities, our Black and brown brothers and sisters that are growing up, to come and be police officers and firefighters in our communities. We have to have people like us police our communities. Because if we get people that grow up in our communities, police our communities, we will hopefully treat ourselves better. So I'm going to be asking the governor and the senator and the state rep to help me with reform to help us get our African American people to come out and lead our communities. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mayor Harvey. These demands are very clear. We are calling for investments. We hear the voices. And one of the sisters who've been hearing the voices of our people and responding for justice and equity, particularly for Black folks around the state, is the county clerk of Cook County. I'm almost embarrassed to do this because she's old enough to be my big sister, but she's going to speak for the next 30 seconds, 60 seconds. Thank you.
All right.
I'll be your big sister. You know, it's so apropos for us to be on the street named Fred Hampton Way, instead of Fred Hampton Pool, named for a brother who was out there during the 60s, who was murdered. I said he was murdered. So to all the young people here today, you are the change that we've been looking for. You are the change. You are the change. Every young person, raise your hand right now. You are. You are the change.
Thank you, Clerk. Thank you, Clerk Yarbrough. Thank you, Clerk Yarbrough. And so, the next person I'm going to introduce, who's been leading the charge on reforming justice in Cook County, has been on the front lines fighting for equity and justice, particularly for Black folks, She is the Cook County Board President, Tony Preckwinkle.
So I know Commissioner Johnson told me I got 30 seconds.
60.
Let me ask you to do three things. The first is to be careful. You have to understand that the pandemic, which has challenged us so much, disproportionately impacts black and brown people. The infection rate for black people is 3 times whites. For Latinos, it's 3.5. Wear your mask, wash your hands, practice social distancing, physical distancing. I was just in the forest preserves for an hour walk. 90% of the people I saw didn't have masks on. 90%.
Shame on them.
We're not going to get a handle on this pandemic unless people are careful. Be careful. The second is be counted. We're in the midst of a census. We know that $1,400 a year comes in for every person who's counted in Cook County. So if you're not counted, that means over the 10-year cycle of the census, we lose $14,000. And that's for schools, that's for health care, that's for roads and bridges. So be counted. And the last is be committed. I'm gonna riff on the clerk's point here. This is a struggle of a lifetime. We're in a moment, but it's a struggle of a lifetime, and it's not just the lifetime of young people, it's for all of us. You know, I always say I'm a history teacher. The first black people who brought to this country as slaves in 1619. And right at the beginning, people said this is not right. And they worked for abolition. You know when we got abolition with the 13th Amendment in 1865. So you have to understand that we're in the struggle of our lifetime, and we may not see the change that we seek in our life, but on our watch, we have to do what we can.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So this is a struggle not just for our young people, but for every single one of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, obviously, Madam President is a social studies teacher. That was 90 seconds. It's okay. You know what it's like when you're in a social studies class at the bell ring. They just keep talking and talking. It's good. I do want to remind folks, again, this is an effort of black elected officials from around the state. We want the country to know that just like Illinois is leading the way of the response to COVID, Illinois is leading the way to bring justice for black families, not just for the state of Illinois, but to be a marker for the country. And these black voices are from all over. And I can't name all their names, but we got Southside aldermen and state reps and state senators. Let me see you. We got South Suburbs. They're here, you all. We have trustees from Maywood, Bellwood, Broadview, Forest Park. They're all here. Most importantly, we have you. I want to remind folks, it's not just communicating to our families. It's also making sure that our allies know what they can do. And I know Senator Lightford is ready to do her thing. Yes. But it's about time that these corporations and these greedy corporations that have kept black people out for far too long, it's now only time for them to pay their fair share in taxes. If white folks want to know what they can do, talk to other white folks about keeping black folks out of the business in which they run. So now, my part of the program is over. I'm going to bring another friend, and a brother, and a mentor of mine that have been with me every step of the way. When other folks were afraid to step out and say, I got your back, this brother did it. I'm proud to be an ally with him. He's the state representative, Emmanuel Chris Welch.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you, Commissioner, for that great introduction. I want to begin by first saying a few names. I want you to repeat each one after me. George Floyd.
George Floyd.
Breonna Taylor.
Breonna Taylor.
Amir Aubrey.
Amir Aubrey.
Laquan McDonald.
Laquan McDonald.
Fred Hampton.
Fred Hampton.
And all other black lives that have been murdered at the hands of police officers.
Yeah.
That's what brings us to this point here today. That's what brings us to this watershed moment that's going to lead to change. We can do this by working together and making change happen. Because each and every one of those people we just named they were a black life that mattered. And we know that black lives matter. Repeat after me. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. And let me tell you what we're going to do with the help of our governor. Because those black lives matter, we have some demands. And our governor is going to help us deliver those demands. All right? All right? Repeat after me. Our demand. Our demand. Our demand, Governor. Our demand, Governor. Is for real police accountability. You better say that, real police accountability. Our demand, Governor. Our demand, Governor. Is for $1 billion of investment. It's for $1 billion of investment. Right here in our community. Right here in our community. That's how we're going to correct the wrongs of the past.
In every community.
In every black community. Our demand is for $1 billion. In every black community. Because Black Lives Matter.
She is the state senator, born and bred, West Side, Western Suburbs, Maywood. Come on, y'all. It's the leader, Senator Kimberly Latham.
Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Say it like you mean it. I'm black and I'm proud. Say it like you've been denied. I'm black and I'm proud. Say it like you felt racism before. I'm black and I'm proud. Say it like your kids are being educated like they should. I'm black and I'm proud. Say it like you can't get a loan at the bank. I'm black and I'm proud. Say it like the house on your block is boarded up. I'm black and I'm proud. Say it like you don't see these homeless people standing out here on the street. I'm black and I'm proud. They are people. I'm black and our people. I don't know if I could get it out in 60 seconds.
Just take your time.
I'm so emotional about this because I was that young person. I was that young person that became a trustee right here in the village of Maywood at 27 years old. The youngest that they ever had. And the first thing that I did when I arrived in the Senate and found a way to get resources was I rehabbed the Fred Hampton pool. That was the first thing that I did. But unbeknownst to me, that I would be labeled the angry black woman because I was fighting for what was right for my community. That's right, and I've been that angry black woman for 21 years, 22 in November, and I'm not going to stop being that. Until we have access. Now, one of the things I want to bring up is that institutional racism is institutional racism. Sexism is sexism. We've all experienced it in one way or another. And if you didn't, God bless you. But for those of us who have, don't give up. Don't give out. Don't get in. Don't get oppressed. Don't stop fighting because they'll put you in the corner. Find somebody like Representative Welch. Find somebody like Karen Yarbrough. Find somebody like Katrina Thompson who's willing to fight with you. You can't just stop because when you do, you know what'll happen? They'll stop teaching your kids how to write cursive. And they'll teach your kids that so that they don't have a signature. We've had 2 generations of kids that have no cursive penmanship. But I put that back on the books because we need to sign our checks. We need to sign our checks. When you stop fighting, you have 50 schools in Chicago closed at one time. 50 of our Chicago public schools closed with no alternative. That's why the Austin community, like in Community Pride, they don't have a high school. And I'm speaking for them because I'm not only from the village of Maywood, I'm from the west side, I'm from the south side, I'm from the south suburbs. And when we can all embrace that, know, my parents came in, or their parents came from Arkansas and Alabama. They came to Chicago for a better life. They came to the north, right? They left the south and came to the north. And guess what happened? Racism followed them. Racism followed my grandfather here when he tried to be a carpenter and was the first black carpenter on the west side, and they denied him access. That's what happened. So when you talk about labor, oh yeah, our brothers got cards, but they ain't working. You don't see them on the job sites, and then they pit the black and brown community against each other, and we fight over crumbs. I'm tired of the crumbs. I want the slice. I want half the pie, Governor. We need a slice. No, I can't no more. I can't no more. But what I can continue to do is be earnest and be honest and call racism as it is. And there is quite a few of my own colleagues over the years who have stopped us from getting things done for our community, who have stopped us in leadership, that have stopped us. I'm glad to see President Harmon here. President Harmon, thank you for supporting us, but we need more from you too. Not only do we need more from our president, we need more from our colleagues. So every time we come with help us get the guns off our streets, they go, no, this is our leisure. We want to hunt. Well, we're hunting people up this way. That's what's happening to us, and as long as we can't see eye to eye or agree or sit down at the same table, we'll never get anywhere. So I'm just pleading at this point to my colleagues in the legislature, when you see that black agenda get put on the table before you, we need you to embrace our black agenda. We need you to get behind our black agenda. We need you to help us push our black agenda. And I know we have that support in our lieutenant governor and in our governor, and as long as I'm allowed to be there, the people in this crowd elect me to do that job, I'm going to do it for you because Black Lives Matter.
You can say it again, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. For those of you who were counting how long she was up there, she's a home sister. She can take as much time as she wants. Before we bring our final two speakers, I think it's appropriate we give this brother at least 90 seconds. Let's go and give him 120. Fred Hampton Jr.
Okay. Right on. Give thanks. Well, to say that these are intense times, I'm sure we all can agree that that's minimizing it. This whole climate is terrible, but it's fine, because the reality is these type of discussions have been held dormant or been euthanized like an old Southern secret. So let's let us seize the time and deal with these contradictions. It's ironic, to say the least again, that here we are 50 years after the assassination, I didn't say passed away or died, after the assassination of Chairman Fred Hampton at the Club, and we're still dealing with these type of contradictions, these discussions. And the deal is we want these potential political power kids. We're going to say the deal. We're going to have to deal with them one way or another. So let's struggle to deal with them on our terms. Be upfront with it. Even with the matter of the Alcoholics Anonymous, say the first step in addressing the problem is recognize we have a problem. Let's be upfront about this. Let's acknowledge the contradictions of race and class in our community, you know, and deal with it principally and deal with it objectively. Again, I'm Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. on behalf of the Black Panther Party Cubs. We are honored to be here. Let's make history. Let's take history. Let's take history. Power to the people.
To demonstrate the broad coalition that's being built across this state, this sister represents history. And I'm proud that over the last several days I've had a chance to stand with her. I want to remind folks as we bring our last couple of speakers that there's work to be done. That the pain and the outrage and sometimes even the confusion, there's a better day ahead, and that day is being led by us. And there are opportunities for us here to be counted, to get registered to vote. When we get a chance to put our arms around one another, we can do that. In the meantime, elbows, and we're going to get through this. A 12-year-old boy that's looking for hope, a 5-year-old black girl that just saw Senator Lightfoot tell us her age, which means she's like 31, she's been working for 21 years. That people feel frustrated. But the part that I'm most excited about is that the same spirit that Ella Baker had Same spirit that ran through the veins of Fannie Lou Hamer, of Frederick Douglass, that is being carried out even within political spaces. And the state of Illinois elected his first black as Lieutenant Governor of the state of Illinois. And so it's my honor and privilege to bring to you all a symbol and a representation of elected officials from around the state, the Lieutenant Governor, Ms. Juliana Stratton.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. And good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. It is such an honor to be here in Maywood, and thank you, Mayor Perkins, for hosting us. And it's an honor to stand with my colleagues in the Joint Black Caucus from all across the state in every level of government, federal, state, county, local, water reclamation district. If you are an elected official, a black elected official, who is a part of this council and this conference, please raise your hand and just show your presence here, right here in Maywood today. These are people who are fighting for your communities right now. Thank you. Secondly, I also have to say before I begin my remarks that as we have come together as a joint black caucus, there is someone who has stood with us all along the way. Someone who has guided us through this COVID-19 pandemic, which, by the way, we are still in. Don't forget that. We are still in it, and it has disproportionately impacted our community. And he has guided us to save as many lives as possible in our state, and he is guiding us and standing with us right now as we loudly proclaim that we want to see equal justice under the law, and that is our Governor, Governor JB Pritzker. Get started as I have in every one of these 4 days of action, and we end today. I want to ask all fists up as we say, rest in power, George Floyd.
Rest in power, George Floyd.
Rest in power, Breonna Taylor.
Rest in power, Breonna Taylor.
Rest in power, Fred Hampton.
Rest in power, Fred Hampton.
Rest in power, Ahmaud Arbery.
Rest in power, Ahmaud Arbery.
We are here in Maywood, a stop of the Underground Railroad. 400 years ago, as our ancestors sought freedom, and today we are still seeking freedom. Why is that the fact? It's because every single system in this country has been built with racism at its core. Our educational system was built from the foundation with racism at its core and told us we could not be educated. Our economic system was built with racism at our core, saying that we could not own businesses. Our banking system was built with racism at our core, where we could not get loans to be able to buy homes. Our housing system was built with racism at its core, telling us where we could live and where we could not live. And yes, our policing system and criminal justice system was built with racism at its core. And so we stand here today, not just those who are elected, but all of us here today saying it is enough. And we are not going to allow policing to go forward where our black men and women are killed with impunity and there's no accountability. We say no more. We come again and we say no more. We are looking at this moment in time, not just about protest, not just about gathering for a rally, but we are talking about action. We are talking about leaving this space today and expecting all of you to hold all of us accountable. And say that we are not going to join here again and not see a difference and a change. I'll close with this. 8 minutes and 46 seconds that his knee, Officer Chauvin's knee, was pressed on George Floyd's neck, squeezing the life out of him as he cried out, "I can't breathe." And what we are saying today as a community and as a people, we ain't accepting no more knees in the neck. That's right. And we are collectively saying that we deserve
to breathe. Thank you all. We'll keep working together.
Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. So as dollars too. Black dollars, that's right. You know you on the west side, west suburbs, folks just start yelling at you. That's right. And keep yelling. Because let me be very clear. Don't end your protest.
That's right.
Don't end your rage. You focus it, but no one says you gotta stop. No one says we have to stop marching. We don't have to stop registering people to vote. We don't have to stop here letting our voices be heard. Let's continue that.
That's right.
And so I'm very, very humbled and honored as we continue to demand black elected officials from all over the state that we also have a commitment from the governor to have listening sessions. He said that, and the lieutenant governor, the listening sessions, so that we can actually develop policy that's going to transform lives.
That's right.
Let me say that again, you all. Listening sessions to develop policies that transform lives. That's the work. So these very difficult times require leadership. And we know what our state just went through. I know we don't want to remember that name. We don't have to. But for 4 years, at the very least, our state suffered under one of the most brutal, racist leaders we've seen in this state in a long time. And the state needed to go into a direction that was progressive and bold and transformational. And the state needed to go into a direction that would have leadership that would speak to the needs of the people who've been crying out for a long time. Someone who could understand what he did not understand and was willing to listen to people who do understand. We call that leadership. And every step of the way, as black electeds have raised our voices, hearing the cries and hearing the voices of our constituency, he's listened. Now we still have a little more work to do, as my mother would say, after we would clean the house all day on Saturday and thought we were done. We got a little more work to do. But we're glad that that work is going to be continued under the leadership and hearing the voices of black electeds. And I'm glad to have with us the governor of the state of Illinois, Mr. JB Pritzker.
Thank you very much, Brandon. Thanks to everybody who's here. You know, we're standing with some of the great leaders in the state of Illinois. We heard from Kimberly Lightford. She's just not just your senator. She's the first black majority leader of the Illinois State Senate. And of course, the president of the Cook County Board, and so many other leaders, the president of the state Senate, the lieutenant governor of the state, the first black lieutenant governor in the history of our state. And little old me. And I want to start by saying, you know, people think that we're here today, all of us, because of the murder of George Floyd.
Hey, turn up the mic. I can't hear you. Turn up the mic.
But we're here not just because of the murder of George Floyd, but because of the murder of Breonna Taylor, and the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, and the murder of Laquan McDonald, and the murders of so many people who were never filmed. And that's why this is a call for justice for them, for the ones who weren't heard of.
That's right.
We're here on Fred Hampton Way because Fred Hampton was a hero to so many. We're here at Fred Hampton Pool because he was a hero to so many. But think about the unsung out there that were killed at the hands of a murderous police officer. So I want to take just 10 seconds, forgive me, a moment of silence for them, for those whose names aren't being spoken here today, but who live with God. Now, if we want justice, there are at least 3 things we got to do. There is no justice without police accountability. There is no justice without criminal justice reform. And this is the big one. There is no justice without reversing the disinvestment and instead making significant investments in our black communities here on the west side, on the west suburbs, all across the state of Illinois, East St. Louis. Let's not forget the brothers and sisters who live all across this state who aren't standing with us, but who believe what we believe. It's time for justice. Now, let me remind you one last thing. Brandon Johnson said it. Thank you for saying it. We have a history here in the state of Illinois that we should be proud of, and that should lead us into the future. We were the first state to support the 13th Amendment ending slavery in this country. We were the first state to support the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote, thank God. And this ought to be the first state that truly addresses the injustice and the disinvestment in black communities and in black families. Illinois is the place to